This is the June 30th episode of the Dark Illumination Report Podcast Extra, and today we're going to be answering a question about Demonic Dreams Publishing, and I'm going to be giving you a bit of a thank you on this episode for your support of this podcast.
This is a Dark Illumination Report Extra with RJ Womack.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining me for yet another episode of the podcast. I hope you're doing well. And as always, this is Brother Nero, aka RJ Womack, and this is the Dark Illumination Report podcast, the podcast where we try to create an atmosphere that is conducive to more serious worship of Satan and demons and just a serious discussion of religion in general. As I said in the introduction, this is going to be more of a thank you episode for those of you who have continued to support this podcast. As I mentioned probably a week ago now, I said that when I started to move away from the term Satanism, my audience decreased by quite a bit, and I started getting fewer comments and fewer engagements on social media and stuff. And to some extent, that's still true, but I've gotten a lot of questions and a lot of support as well. A lot of you wrote to me and said, hey, don't let it get you down. Don't worry about it. And to be honest, my numbers have already started going back up, and they're almost back to where they were before we even started this discussion. So that's good. I think we're clearing out the riffraff and we're starting to make room for people from the pagan community. And I think that's going to make a big difference to this audience, because I think people are going to realize, this is a podcast for serious people. This is a podcast for people that are truly wanting to explore their religious practice and want to devote themselves to more traditional ways of approaching the demonic gods, if you will. And so I think in the end, it's going to be a positive thing. And I think in the end, it's going to benefit the podcast and just make everything a little bit better. The other thing I want to say to everyone is you have to understand that when you're questioning people's beliefs, when you're questioning their very culture and the way they dress and the tattoos they have, of course you're going to have people reject you and be angry about what you're saying and question you and ask you, who do you think you are? What gives you the right to say what a Satanist is or what a Satanist is not? And to be clear, I never said that. And I never said that I was speaking on behalf of Satan either. I said that for myself personally, I find them to be disrespectful. I find them to be the very antithesis of everything that Satanism represents, many of them. And that's my personal opinion. I never said I was speaking for Satan, and I never said that my opinions were the be-all and end-all of Satanism. In fact, I make it very clear that the opinions I express on this podcast are my opinions and my opinions alone. I neither speak on behalf of any particular tradition, and I neither claim association with any particular tradition or particular order outside of my own beliefs and outside of my own tradition, which I'm creating as we speak. And so if anybody tries to make the claim that I'm trying to say that I speak on behalf of all Satanists or represent myself as a spokesman for the satanic community, I have not done that, and I am not trying to imply that. I'm just saying that as a individual diabolist, I have a choice of the kind of people that I want to work with. And I want to work with people who are serious, devoted, and who believe that Satan deserves respect and worship and to be honored and to be taken seriously. And the religion needs to be taken seriously, and we need to approach it with a sense of decorum and a sense of reverence, going back to more of a mindset of the ancient pagan way of doing things rather than the contemporary Satanism way of doing things. Now, that doesn't mean I'm trying to be an ancient pagan. It doesn't mean that I'm trying to be a heathen. It doesn't mean that I'm trying to be a traditional witch. I'm just trying to incorporate techniques that will help facilitate a more devotional way of practicing. I'm not trying to be anybody else's tradition. I'm trying to find techniques that will help get people more involved in the religious worship of Satan, get people more involved in applying the philosophy of Satanism to their everyday lives, and trying to get people to take a more devotional approach. I'm not trying to claim to be anybody's particular tradition other than my own. Anyway, enough of that. So let me get into this question. Somebody asked me what I think of Demonic Dreams Publishing. And to be honest, I don't know much about them. I've never ordered anything from them. I just recently came across them in the last couple of weeks because I was looking for someone to make some custom made ritual tools for me for this particular tradition and for my personal practice. And I just came across their name when I was doing a Google search, so I don't know anything about them. I didn't order anything from them because they didn't have very much contact information. And over the years, I've become reluctant to buy things from people that don't give you like a contact phone number and a contact address, or give you good customer service contact information. So that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with them or that you should be leery of them in any way. I just haven't had any personal experience with them, so I can't give you an opinion on them. But what I will say is if anybody else out there has had any experience buying things from them and had any experiences with them, positive or negative, please let me know so I can inform the listeners who might be interested in purchasing things from them, about your experiences. Because more than anything else, we're trying to be a community service. We're trying to be a source of accurate information for those people who need help and who want help and who are trying to follow this path sincerely. So anything we can do to give people accurate information and to help them, I am more willing to do. And as far as the authors that they publish, I've never heard of any of these authors. I don't know anything about them. I don't know whether their books are of good quality or not. Again, I'm reluctant to buy books from publishers I've never heard of simply because I know a lot of them charge really high prices for books that are nothing more than pamphlets. And I get really tired of people ripping people off, using their religion against them to rip people off. So I'm reluctant to buy things from new publishers unless they're directly selling through Amazon or something like that. Somebody that's a reliable resource, somebody that's well known. But if I'm buying directly from them, I'm really reluctant to buy directly from publishers' websites because of that. Especially, like I said, with the advent of self-publishing and publish-on-demand technology, you never know what you're going to get when you buy a book nowadays. You never know if it's going to be a good quality product or somebody charging you $50 for a 20-page pamphlet, which, believe it or not, that does happen in the satanic community and in the left-hand path religious community. I've seen people charge like $50 for a 50-page pamphlet. And so, when I give you these opinions that I give you, a lot of people think, Nero, he's always bitching or he's always grouchy about stuff. And the reason that I say these things, the reason that I warn you guys about this stuff is because I've been around a long time and I've gone through many of the experiences that many of you will go through. I've bought a book for $50 to find out it's only a pamphlet. I've, been a part of organizations where the leadership uses and manipulates people for their own reasons and they're not about the religion. I've been a part of, I've had people make promises to me and make commitments to me and to Satan only to rip people off. I've seen it happen. So when I warn you about these things, it's not that I'm trying to be a crabby old man. It's not that I'm trying to be, rain on your parade or bitch about everyone. I'm trying to make you aware that these things do happen so that you don't fall victim to the things that I've fallen victim to. One of the benefits of being around and being in this religion for almost 40 years is almost everything that you're going to go through as a young diabolist or Satanist is something that I've probably already experienced. And so I can probably help you avoid some of the problems and some of the pitfalls that I went through. Because when I was doing this, when I got started in this, I was 12 years old. There was no internet. There were no mentors to go to. There were no podcasts. If you wanted to learn something, you had to go to the library and look it up. And you had to read whatever books you could find. And if you did write to an organization like the Temple of Set or something like that, or the Church of Satan, you wrote to them and you had to wait sometimes 2, 3, 4 weeks for them to respond. And usually when they did respond, it was a form letter. And then you had to respond to them again, respond to the form letter, fill out their forms, and then wait another 2 to 3 weeks for their response. If you got it that soon, sometimes it would be 6 weeks before you get a response. So one of the things that I get really frustrated with young diabolists about is that they're so used to information being at their fingertips they're almost ungrateful for any information they get, and they take it for granted. They're spoiled rotten. They really are. And the other thing is they have no discernment. They don't, when they read information, it's like they have no ability to tell good information from bad, and they have no ability to tell when somebody's feeding them a line of bullshit. And that's one of the main reasons this podcast exists, is to try to help you, wade through all this information and trying to help you understand what's real and what's not real. And it's not because I'm the expert on everything. There's plenty of things I don't know much about, but I'm just saying, for me, one of the things that I'm becoming more and more passionate about is trying to help people try to determine what's accurate information and what's inaccurate information, so that they can make informed decisions, so that they're not deceived by people that might have other motives besides religion. And that's one of the things we're going to be focusing on in this podcast, is trying to give you accurate information about ancient pagan beliefs in particular, and different pagan traditions, because the information that you get in a lot of published works are not accurate. Or if they are accurate, they're not giving you the full story. Anyway, that's it for today, guys. If you have any more questions, please feel free to send me an email or whatever, and I'll be happy to answer them for you if I can. As always, I hope to see you next time, and Satan be with you until we meet again. Take care, everybody. Have a good day.
Thank you for listening to the Dark Illumination Report podcast. For the latest news headlines, show information, and more, go to rjwomack.com. That's rjwomack.com.